welcome to my kitchen. My name is Sherry, and today I'm going to be showing you how to perfectly cook a steak in a cast iron skillet. So the few things that you're going to need, of course, is a cast iron skillet. You're going to need your steak. You're also going to need some kosher salt, some fresh, well, I don't have fresh ground black pepper. I do, it's over there, but I just grabbed this today. Some olive oil. I have some garlic infused oil here that I'm going to use. Make sure you have an oven mitt or something on hand. Your pan's going to get extremely hot. A set of tongs to flip your steak, and then also an instant read thermometer. One other thing I like to keep on hand is a timer for this because I like to be very, very precise. So the first thing you want to do is start heating up your oven. So 450 degrees, and then you also want to make sure you get your cast iron skillet really, really hot. So a cast iron skillet doesn't really heat evenly, but it actually holds the heat very well. So one thing you can do is you can actually put it in the oven to preheat and then move it out onto the stove top. So I've had mine heating here for just a little bit. Now, before we throw it in there, and you always want to make sure that your cast iron is hot before you put any food in there. Don't ever put cold food in a cold cast iron skillet. So the first thing we want to do is a little bit of oil on our steak. Well, that's a little more than I needed, but and we're just going to oil both sides of the steak. So if your cast iron is seasoned well, you're not going to need to oil the pan at all since we're oiling the steak. The next thing we're going to do is season both sides. And I like to use quite a bit of kosher salt. I like to get like a nice salty, peppery kind of crust on the steak when I throw it in the pan. All right, so salt goes on, pepper goes on. Do the other side. And then, and I'm going to warn you, your smoke alarm may go off. This is a great way to cook steak, especially if you're outside. But if you're inside, more times than not, the smoke alarm's going to go off. But I just like to say, you know, it's cheering me on. I always tell my husband, like, that's how you know the steak's going to be good, like if the smoke alarm goes off. So I'm going to go ahead and set my steak in here. And we want to leave it on the side for 2 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer. Like I said, I like to do this very precisely. And then if you want to make a marinade for this, you can. Just throw it in a Ziploc bag and put a little bit of soy sauce in there. Maybe crush up some garlic cloves and a little bit of cracked pepper. And you can leave it marinate all the way overnight, anywhere from 30 minutes to overnight. So it's starting to get the crust on there. So one thing you don't want to do is, some people say you should flip it back and forth, which might be a good idea just because, like I said, the cast iron doesn't necessarily heat evenly. But I like to make sure it gets a nice sear on there, because if it doesn't and you try to flip it over, it's going to stick. And usually once it gets a nice sear, it'll kind of release on its own, and then it's actually really easy to flip. So, and then I like mine about medium rare. So that's about 135 degrees. And I will post in the description below, along with kind of what I've done here as far as the recipe goes. But I'll post it in the description below, like what the different temperatures are for the different wellnesses of meat. I think we're getting ready to go off again here. We got, all right. So there we go. Look at that sear on there. So another 2 minutes on this side. All right, so the 2 minutes on the other side is up. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and remove this from the heat. And if you like your steak really rare, then this is the point where you would stop cooking it. I like mine about medium rare. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little pat of butter, and we're going to put it right on top of the steak. And then I'm going to put this in the oven, and I'm going to put it in there for about 5 minutes. I'm going to set another timer. All right, 5 minutes are up. I have cooked the steak to about medium rare. So medium rare, like I said, is about 135. But because you're going to have a little bit of carryover cooking, you want to take it off just a few degrees before that. So I took it off when it was right around 130. So if you're like me, sometimes I really just need to use a instant read thermometer to make sure I'm like on track. Sometimes the oven, I might have it up a little higher or whatever. I got lucky today, the smoke alarm didn't go off. Anyway, I just pulled this out of the oven, so I'm going to let this sit and rest for about 5 to 10 minutes just so the juices can redistribute. All right, our steak has been resting about 7 minutes, give or take, and now it's time to cut into it and see how we did. And it's a little more done than what I would like. It's more medium than it is medium rare, but not bad. Not bad. Like I said, you may want to use a timer. Make sure you use a thermometer. I actually didn't use mine. And I may have got sidetracked on time because I had to run the dog out. But at least I didn't set off the smoke alarm today. So I guess I better give this a taste, huh? I love the salty, peppery crust that it has on the outside. I just love seasoning a steak with not even marinade, just the salt and pepper. I just love it like that. So if you don't have a cast iron skillet, I encourage you to get one because there's no better way to put a crust on a steak than using one of those. And this usually is like a foolproof method, like I said. But I did cook it just a little more than what I prefer today, but I will post the temperatures for the different wellnesses of steak in the description below. But other than that, I think that's it. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you don't want to miss another video like this, make sure to hit the bell, and I'll see you next time. Bye.